Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In this episode of Bitcoin Trade here, I'll do a little chart analysis real quick before I guess the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. Um, so this is the current chart on a 12-hour on Bitfin. So before I do that, I'd like to go over some headlines here, some good old news. It'll be a little bit of news episode with a little bit of other stuff. So hold on here and let me see what's out there. Okay. So let's go over some things here that I'd like to talk about. All right. Well, let's go over some stuff here. This is the article on CoinDesk here. They've recently come up with some good articles. Markets Weekly. Could central banks spark a Bitcoin rally? So if you read this article, you'll see what's going on. I don't know if you heard of currency wars, where countries are debasing their currency to increase exports and stuff and whatever. And apparently there seems to be a little currency war going on in Asia. Could this spark a rally in Bitcoin? I'm surprised it hasn't already. But something to read. I'm just going to talk about it, point it out. You know, if you trade in Bitcoin, you notice you don't trade Bitcoin to Bitcoin. You trade Bitcoin to usually some fiat money. So I think there is some direct impact as far as the price of Bitcoin. You would assume as currencies are being the value of your one whatever yen, Chinese money, dollar, euro goes down in value. It takes a considerable amount of more of those paper money to get yourself a Bitcoin. So there'd probably be some assumption that the value of Bitcoin would rise in comparison to paper money. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it really does make sense. And don't forget, not only Bitcoin will go up in value, but the price of milk, the price of food, the price of gas, the price of energy in general to heat your homes and cook that turkey. All that other stuff will also go up in value. So if you see my previous episode, you'd understand why. Because all those things that we purchase don't necessarily have a dollar amount fixed onto them like paper money. Paper money will always be $100. You know, the $100 bill you get with is it George or Benjamin Franklin on it? I think. Well, that will always be $100. The problem is all the other stuff around you will go up in price. So what's really going on? Well, what's really going on is the value of your money is really not worth $100. It's worth less than $100. So if let's put it this way, if there's no number on that paper money with Benjamin Franklin on it, and there was a value dollar on everything else, like gas remained $1 or 50 cents. The only difference was that you had to get more paper to pay for your goods and services. And so, you know, if you let the money float in price, like a real money float in price, you would realize that it would take more of this paper money to get the same amount of gas per gallon or whatever liter wherever you're from. You realize your money is fluctuating constantly every day. I would even say to some degree it's more volatile than than Bitcoin in some cases. So, anyways, there's that. Let's see another one. CoinDesk has a lot of great articles here. Here's another article, again CoinDesk, and there's the author and everything. Analysis: around 70% of Bitcoin's unspent for 6 months or more. This is a little surprising to me, but again, not so surprising. So in the article, it kind of says, states that the idea or the thought in this is that a lot of people have bought up top of the market and are still holding on for the rebound. I guess that's true. That's not true in my case. What I've done recently, and I think I mentioned this in my previous episode, was I've been holding my Bitcoins now. Holding my Bitcoins. Because I think the price around where we've been, around anything below 350 would have been a great opportunity, in my opinion, to buy and hold. And so I've been trading, instead of making gains in the digital money on the exchange or in your bank or whatever, I've been now making gains in Bitcoin. So I'm transferring that value of digital money, digital currency, like that number in your bank account or that number on your exchange account. I've been transferring that value into a Bitcoin. And so that's what I've been doing. If you trade, you're always trying to make a gain, either in some digital currency or some virtual currency, whether it be Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever it is. I specifically, use Bitcoin for the most part. So all you're doing is really you're transferring value. You're going to be trying to make a gain, and your gains are stored either in a bank account or in a virtual exchange account or whatever, somewhere around there, and or some kind of somewhere. And then you're taking that number and transferring it onto a legal tender or a Bitcoin. So what I've done is when we use legal tender, you're using it usually to exchange something for it. So you take legal tender and you buy goods and services, or you'll buy more Bitcoin, whatever you want to do. But eventually, what you're really doing is just transferring a unit of measure of some kind of number onto something else. Now, whether that's a fixed number, like a fiat currency, or that's Bitcoin that there's no fixed number on it. So the value of Bitcoin can go up to $1 billion, to infinity. Whereas your fiat money, well, once you transfer that value to a fiat money, it's always going to be $100. Even though everything around you has gone up in price, it's still $100. If you bought $100, if you transferred $100 worth onto a fiat currency, that's kind of why I brought, this article up. Anyways, this article in particular was very interesting. I don't do a lot of analysis like this. It's kind of informative to know something about this. That a lot of the Bitcoins for the last 6 months have been unspent. I'm not sure what that means. Are people hoarding them? Are people holding them? I'm not sure. I'm not really analyzing in that way. I know in my previous episodes I mentioned the transactions volumes. Well, in this particular article, it states that those are probably now invalid, because now you have a lot of mixers and spamming going on. God, you can never get rid of that spam, can't you? Some people just love spam. Anyways, or love to spam, I should say. So transaction volumes are, I guess at this point, no longer a measurable gauge of dictating or getting an idea of price prediction or the value of Bitcoins in any way now. And I think that's true to some degree. And there's another interesting article that even though that there's more merchant adoption, there's not an increase in transactions. I guess specifically going along with those merchant adoption. So Bitcoins really aren't being spent to buy goods and services. So what would they be used for? Well, I guess that only leaves one thing or a few things. Well, if they are being bought goods and services and not being done through the recent merchant adoption, that's one conclusion. Another conclusion is now they're being used to transfer value to another person, which was, I think, the original intent. So if they're not being spent through merchants, what are they being used for then? My conclusion for the most part has got to be they're being transferred to another person, and then that person's transferring to a different person, and then that person's transferring to a different person, and so that's what I think is really going on. And is it being spent? I don't know. I don't know what that means, spent, unspent. I don't think you can ever spend a Bitcoin because Bitcoins don't exist. They remain in virtual reality forever. But I think people can definitely accept Bitcoins into their life, and then also take that Bitcoin and then transfer to someone else to accept the Bitcoins into their life. So, interesting article. Go ahead and read it. So, what's another one? They got some really good articles out here lately. Oh, this is another good article, I think. And I talk a lot about this kind of stuff. And this article says why Bitcoin needs an aggressive legal defense. I would argue that why does it always have to be a defense? I think I think it's good to have a defense because you don't want to be the aggressor, because being the aggressor, I think is wrong, but doesn't mean that you're gonna lose. There are just forces and entities out there that are just, they do nothing but commit acts of aggression, specifically against Bitcoin users, Bitcoin on the infrastructure, the blockchain technology, and then Bitcoin, the little b that everyone puts a little emphasis on, the currency, in which that's how I interact with the blockchain. There's just entities out there that all they do is commit act of aggression. And yes, you need to defend yourself, but at some point, my personal opinion is I'm getting tired of defending myself, and I have an absolute right in protecting myself, self-preservation, the right to exist. So at some point, when there's an aggressor that's coming at me, and they're attacking me, in my opinion, if someone was to attack me, I wouldn't try to just dodge their attacks all the time and never attack, never strike back, never repel. That's foolish and that's ridiculous. And the more you just defend yourself only, the more these attackers, these terrorists, they just think they can just keep on doing this. And that's not true. They can't keep doing this. You know, I have a right. And that's why I mentioned in my previous episodes about bearing arms. You have a right to bear arms. Also you have a right to have a gun. But the arms I'm talking about is the left arm, my right arm. And the next time, you know, someone comes to attack you, and you need to repel, go ahead and give them the 1-2. And you know what surprises me is that these attackers, the people or these entities that commit the act of aggression, when you retaliate, they act all surprised. They're surprised. They're like, wow, you attacked me. You know, that's their claim. They act like they're the victims. You know, they act like it's kind of interesting. You know, and they're shocked that you talk back. They're shocked that you fought back. They're shocked that you pulled out your gun and start shooting at them. You know, they're shocked. Anyways, my point is, you know, you have the right to exist. You have the right to defend yourself. You have a right to protect yourself. You have a right to self-preservation. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't feel defenseless. You don't always have to defend yourself. You can go on to an illegal attack. And I think after a while, you know, it's always good to defend yourself. I mean, I agree with that. But at some point in time, a good offense is the best defense. Let everyone know that, you know, you don't take any shit. And if you fuck with me, you know, if you mess with the bull, you're gonna get the horns. Alright? And for me personally, yeah, you know, if anybody comes at me, I will literally stop you dead in your tracks. I mean, there's no question about it. And I have a absolute right to do that. So why Bitcoin needs an aggressive legal defense? Well, I guess, you know, to protect yourself. But what I'm trying to say is, why does it have to be a defense? Why can't it be an attack? I've mentioned about raising your army, bearing arms, and getting ready to battle. You know, this. What can I say? Just watch my previous video. I think you should be ready. All of you, each and every one of you. Get ready. Raise your army. Get ready to battle. And I would say, you know, let people know that you can attack. But don't attack. Then, you know, you would be the aggressor. But, you know, I'm just going to wait until see which foolish entity is going to try to attack me first. And then when I repel and retaliate to defend myself, when I repel and I defend myself and then go on the offensive and I kick your ass, you know, hopefully that'll send a message to every entity out there that wish to do me harm or violate or abridge any of my rights. That's what I have to say to that. And I think, you know, everyone out there should have that same mentality. Anyways, great article. Talks about a lot of stuff, which, you know, to me, for me, it's not just, this is just not a way of making money for me. It's not a way of, just read the article. This is not just money to me. If someone came up to me and offered me $100 in money or $100 in Bitcoin, I would take the Bitcoins. I would take the Bitcoins any day. And if they gave me money, you know what I would do? I would buy Bitcoins. And you're probably wondering why. Why? What's so important about it? Well, it's I don't know how to say this, but it's literally changed my life. Well, anyways, I'll get on to the next part here, and I'm gonna skip through a few things before I get to the last article. And well, I'll save that one for later. And I found this article very interesting. This is by Crypto Coins News here. Very interesting article. If you haven't read this article, I found this article very interesting. I mentioned a lot about how, top secret information for sale. Well, look what this is. This is very interesting. Let me see. Slur will operate over the Tor network, both buyers and sellers. Okay, so a website subtitled "You're Gonna Hate." Are you going to hate it? Is certainly an attention grabber, and let me see. It catches attention. Let me see. What is it? Slur will be an open source, decentralized, and anonymous marketplace for selling secret information. Oh, I don't know if it's top secret, but secret information in exchange for Bitcoin. And I just talked about this, and now this is coming up. This is going to be very interesting. I like to see what happens. I don't know how real this is. I don't know if this is going to really take off or not. But the fact that this is being explored and being created is very interesting. And this is kind of what I've talked about somewhat in my previous episode. But there's one issue, and I think this comment addresses it. Dumb and confidential information cannot be passed anonymously because you have to know who the source is to determine its validity. If anyone doesn't agree, I have the full story about Roswell and Area 51 available for 100 Bitcoins. I think there is an issue with that. I think there's probably a lot of scammers who will try to sell you supposedly secret information, and it's bogus. But I think there's an escrow for this, so if people look at it and realize this is bogus, and then again, it could be bogus to make it sound like real information as well. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I'll just let the market decide. But I thought this was very interesting. Here's another article that I thought was very funny. Bitcoin 1, Western Union 0. If you've seen my previous episodes, I've talked about issues that I've personally had with a company. I won't name the company, but I gave it a pseudonym, and their pseudonym was Union West, and how basically they've pretty much blocked my name from using them. Oh, they'll let me use them. They'll just never transfer money or anything like that, But I can still go to them. I can still go there and try to use their service, and they just won't transfer the funds, or they won't let me receive the funds either. So, but anyways, but they're protecting me. They're protecting me because they think I'm crazy. That's why. They're trying to protect me. If you ask me, they're trying to protect their own asses. They're trying to protect themselves because they know what's coming. So apparently there's some viral stuff going on where Western Union is trying to stop all this from being posted. And it seems like the more they try, to resist, the more it just gets in front of their face. And you kind of have to ask yourself, why is this happening? Why is this happening? You know, why would people do this to Western Union? My gosh, that's so unfair. You know. Anyways, interesting article. Go ahead and read this as well. I think the days of Western Union is near the end of Western Union. Kind of reminds me a lot of these other companies that kind of just dies. And there's nothing wrong with a company dying, because if you're an economist and you believe in deconstructionism, you'll realize that, you know, an old industry will die and will be replaced by a birth of a new industry. And so I don't know what to say. I guess I've said it before. The New Age, the New World Order, the old New World Order, the old age. This is just an example. A transition into the new world. And, you know, just like, and I don't mean to be, you know, rude or mean or generalizing or anything. You know, I respect my elders quite a bit. But have you, how can I say this? And I don't mean to be disrespectful, okay? Because I know every one of us will meet this fate. But have you ever seen have you ever witnessed someone who is passing away? Especially the elderly. As time goes on, you know, sometimes they become very bitter, very mean. I mean, you know, getting old and dying sucks, and we all have to go through that. And for some, you know, it's just a bitter, bitter battle against fate. You know it's coming, but you know, you become, how can I say, you become resentful. You start hating the world. You start hating everyone around you, and you do whatever it takes just to live a little bit longer. You don't care how much it costs. You don't care who you have to hurt in order to do it. You don't care. You know, the only thing that matters is your life. Dying gracefully is harder said than done, and at that, rarely done. So, if you anybody who has ever had that experience, this is what this is like. This is like the bitter old man. Who's basically on its deathbed, lashing out one last time before he goes, instead of being graceful and, you know, happy what they've done. I mean, Western Union, I mean, for what they've done, they did something great at that time. But it's time to move on. It's time to let the new world and the people of the new world to take over. So, anyways, that's, you know, Bitcoin 1, Western Union 0. I guess someone will keep a track of it. Okay, and I'm gonna say my episode for last year, and this is the episode, or I'm sorry, the article that I'm gonna say for last. And so, here it is. How dangerous is Satoshi Nakamoto? And this particular article talks about um, the 1 million bitcoins. Matter of fact, it says right here estimated. Who knows how many it's really there, but where does it say that? There you go, 1 million bitcoins. And I guess if you read this article, it talks about, you know, talks about quite a few interesting things, like what's going to happen if they start unloading this 1 million, decide to cash out for the most part. I guess this is crazy theory time, if you're all interested. Now, I don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I'm actually trying to find out myself. I'm kind of curious. I'd really like to know. But, you know, we may never know. Anyways, there's a lot of bitcoins in a wallet. And I have this crazy theory. Okay, it's crazy theory time. Now, I don't think this person or group of people or whoever Satoshi Nakamoto is, I don't think they ever really had an interest in money, because they probably already knew, just like how I have come to know, that money is an illusion. And so I don't think they're doing it for the money, because you know they could have cashed out a long time ago. They're millionaires. If you just think about it, I mean, it would have been so tempting to finally like get that nice house, or get that nice car, or maybe get a yacht, or just retire, never have to work again. And you have to ask yourself, well, why wouldn't they do that? Why would they not just cash out, and man, they could have a great life. They could never worry about anything ever again. You know, they could just retire. Probably go to Vegas, whatever, have a lot of fun. But I think that they know what I've come to know, that money is an illusion. It's not real and never was real. It's all a deception. In some cases, you all been deceived and enslaved. And so they have no interest in ever cashing out. And this is where it's going to get really crazy. Okay. So, what if the only reason they have all these bitcoins, okay, is not to spend them or cash out, but to literally give them away at a certain point in time. It's being held for how can I say it? These bitcoins are being held for maybe the current generation or the future generation, but they're being held because they don't belong to Satoshi Nakamoto per se. They belong to the rest of the world. These bitcoins are held in good faith, and at some point in time in the future, they are to be given. Now, how would they be given? And who would get them? Now, you got to remember, like, a lot of people don't have an internet connection. A lot of people haven't even heard of bitcoins. Well, you know, here's what now this is just crazy theory. I don't know for sure, but I mentioned a lot of times that bitcoins will go to infinity. In other words, you cannot trade anything for a bitcoin. Well, it would be unfair for those people who somehow or for whatever reason are not quite able to um, get a Bitcoin for whatever reason. And I mentioned in my previous episodes that about the last mining rig. The last mining rig to stand. That's where you got to go with your Bitcoins. And I guess for those who don't have a Bitcoin, I mean, I imagine when that time comes, I mean, I don't envision a very pleasant world. And the journey to get to the last mining rig, it's not a pleasant journey. I would even imagine that your life would be in danger constantly. Because there's just entities and forces out there that are just bent on ensuring your destruction, on making sure that you never reach the end of your journey. You'll be deceived, you'll be tricked, you'll be led astray on this path, and you may even be killed. But for those who are strong and you can make it, but you may not have a Bitcoin. Well, there's 1 million Bitcoins available. That's my crazy theory. I don't know if that's going to ever happen. I don't know if it's ever going to happen in my lifetime. But you have to ask yourself, why is there 1 million Bitcoins just sitting there? Anyways, my battery's getting a little low. Let me get on to the chart analysis now. That's kind of why you're all here. So, alright, here's the 12-hour on a Bitfin. And last time you saw my episode, I drew a little line here, and it did bounce off that line, didn't it? So, which is good, and it's going back up, and you see the 10 period average and the 25 period average. Now this crossed over. It's gone above those averages now. Now, whether this continues up, it's probably going to tell you whether how long or how good of an uptrend or this reversal from a downtrend to an uptrend, or it could be ranging. A couple possibilities here, but this is a really good signal. It did bounce off of this line, and I had a previous person who made a comment about triple bottom. I'm assuming they're talking about 1, 2, 3, this being the triple bottom. A lot of people get into these patterns in which the price moves, the candlesticks, head and shoulders, a W, all this stuff. Me personally, I think that's all nonsense. But again, it's whatever works for you. I see W's and U's and head and shoulders all the time in these price movements in the candlesticks. They haven't really told me anything about where the price might be going, in my opinion. But for some people, if it works for you, that's great. Go ahead and use it. I just can't make any sense of them. That's why I don't use them. Similar to like Fibonacci lines, I can't make any sense of those, so I don't use them. I use what I know works for me, and I suggest you all do whatever works for you. So anyways, it's risen above, and there's a good chance that it could reach 500 because it needs to go above this. If this is the, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a fifth wave. It'll reach just slightly above this, but not as long as this, and it'll just be long enough to probably just get to 500, which that's where I originally thought it might go up to, which it pretty much closely did. This was 475, so I think 500 is a good target. It may take a little bit longer to get there, not so fast like this, but although this is a very good signal, this bouncing off of this from this trend line here, this bottom support trend line, is also a good signal. The fact that it's crossed over, and now it just has to go higher than this, higher than that. Once it goes higher than that, there's a good chance it will reach this price right here, and also a very good chance that it'll reach to 500. So that's kind of what the chart analysis is, what I'm getting out of this. But the fact that we're looking at higher lows, higher highs, and this is a higher high, then I would say the trend is starting to reverse on going back up, which is, I guess, good news. Again, I've been making my gains. When I trade now, I don't trade my gains in virtual money, virtual US dollars anymore. I'm trying to retain my gains in Bitcoins, and I just find, in my opinion, it's a really good opportunity because I just think this is a really good buying opportunity. If you bought here, here, or here, you hear the terms buy on the dip. Well, buy on the dip, and if you want, you can sell in the peaks if you wanted to. But what I'm doing is, as I'm trading, the money I made in gains, I'm buying literally on the dips and transferring the value into Bitcoins, and I'm retaining my gains in Bitcoin. And in some ways, I'm not taking any risk. If you know how to trade, if you really know how to trade, then you know how to transfer value to different stored value devices, whether it be stocks, gold, bonds, a house, whatever they may be, wherever you can store that value. You need to take advantage of the appreciation that's going to occur. So I think it's my opinion. Okay, you don't have to do what I do. It's just my opinion that having Bitcoins or storing your value in Bitcoins now, I just find that more advantageous. There's more advantages for that than just having your money at the bank. I mean, you need money at the bank because eventually you need to buy things and whatnot. You need to feed yourself, pay your bills. But for me, I've traded enough to make a gain, and I'm transferring those gains because now there's no risk for me. If Bitcoins went down to zero, then I lost my gain, and at some point, if that's the case, then guess what? I pay no taxes because all my gains went down to zero. So I made zero money. So haha to the IRS. So hopefully the IRS is hoping that I make a gain. Anyways, let me get back to one more thing before I exit out. Sorry for the long episode, but I'm not making videos as often as I would like to. Let me see here. On this. Oh yeah, in this article it mentions a lot of people have bought at the top of the market. That's why they're holding on to it, hoping that the market goes up. Another thing a lot of people do during, if they made a bad trade, they will hold on to them, and usually it'll be the end of their tax year, or for the most part, or they can hold on to I'm sorry about that, a little thing pop up. Or they could hold on to it to the point where long-term losses or short-term losses, however they want to see it, usually towards the end of their tax year, they got to make a decision to hold on to these losing assets, these losing trades, or to basically, put them on the books, like, mark them to market, and then take the loss to offset any gains that they made. And so you could see a couple things happen. You could see towards the end of the year a lot of people selling off. That's quite a possibility to offset any gains that they made since they made a purchase. So there's some tax advantages here. So if anybody has made a bad trade, if you've been saving your bad trades, usually they're dumped off at the end of the year to show a loss, and then those losses offset any taxable income and all your other deductions, and voila, you basically made no money and you pay no taxes. So a lot of people who trade, who know how to trade, who really are trading Bitcoins, they already know this, so they're probably already taking advantage of some of these things where they're being marked to quote unquote mark to market, where you're going to take a loss on them to offset any gains that you made to reduce your tax liability. Anyway, I just want to make a note on that. But here you go. There's the chart. So anyways, this is the end of my episode. Sorry if it's so long. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, or even a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.